Lite 96.3, I'm Tim Nixon, and with me, a couple special guys. Young Americans are in the house. Whenever that happens, my heart gets happy, my face gets happy, my voice gets happy, everything gets happy when there's young Americans around. We have Andy, the new CEO, and Kenny, the board president, are here, and it's so good to have you guys.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I missed you this summer with the COVID thing and all that stuff, the dinner theater. Is that all going to happen again? Do we hope?
It's absolutely going to happen again. You know, there's a tradition of the Boyne Dinner Theater and the Young Americans being there. And while COVID is keeping us in a position where we can't get out there and perform and do the things that we love, we have every intention of opening up again as soon as the world opens up and bringing the Young Americans out to the audiences in Northern Michigan.
Have you ever been in Northern Michigan before?
I was here in 1980 at a place called AMT. And I came, in fact, it's an interesting story. I was living in California. I was a high school student and performed in a show choir, and Bill Brawley, the director, was one of the judges of the show choir, and he came up to me afterwards after the performance and asked if I would be interested in coming to this place called Petoskey, Michigan, which I'd never heard of before. Come and join AMT, and that summer, if I recall, I did two shows. I did The Sound of Music, and I did Hello Dolly, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life.
And AMT is American Musical Theater, and it was kind of a precursor to Young Americans activities up here.
Absolutely a precursor. In fact, when I came here, the idea was that I would join the Young Americans and that year travel to Japan. Now, Bill Brawley really believed in me, but the founder of the organization, Milton Anderson, didn't have the same kind of confidence in my performance abilities that Bill did. And so I auditioned to go to Japan that year, and I didn't make it. I was very disappointed. But fortunately, later I was able to do the Liberace show in Lake Tahoe in Las Vegas, and then I got a chance to go to France a couple of summers, and then I opened the Atlanta Young American Dinner Theater in 1982, and then eventually had a chance to sit down with Mr. Anderson, and he said, you know, when Bill brought you into the group, I wasn't as enthusiastic as he was about your talent, but I'm glad that he did because I think you're terrific.
Oh, wasn't that nice to hear?
It was
the fact
really
that he
great.
could say that.
Absolutely.
Andy, you too were with the Young Americans and for a long time, and you've been in Northern Michigan before as well, and then somehow you guys ended up in LA, but here you are today.
Yeah, Northern Michigan has always been special for me because I graduated from high school, and straight from my graduation, I came up here to do AMT, and I did AMT 3 years, and then I was also in the third Boyne cast, and then through AMT I did several musicals, Little Abner, My Fair Lady, and others, but I also did the West Side Story national tour of the Young Americans in 1977. Young Americans, for me, and Petoskey, I was just driving in today, and I told the driver that he needs to stop and have me take a picture in front of that Petoskey sign, because when I drove into Petoskey, there was a transformation that happened in my life that was based on the principles of the Young Americans, the foundations of the Young Americans, that today at 62 years old are still my North Star and number one influence of my life. I'm the man I am today because of the Young Americans, and Petoskey's where it all started for me.
Wow, and you ended up being with a school system and getting all the way to the top of that as an educator, and you probably started on that track with the Young Americans.
Yes, I did, because I was first a choir teacher for 16 years, and then I moved up in the administrative, and there wasn't a day that I didn't go through my day, whether I'm presenting to a staff of 2,000 or I'm presenting just to a group of principals, that something of the Young Americans would show, because they would come up to me and say, hey, Andy, where did you get that pizzazz, or how do you know when to be funny? And I'd say, it's a long story. If you ever want to know, treat me to lunch and I'll tell you the story of the Young Americans. That has really influenced my life as of just today.
So many people have been influenced, and by the schooling, the educational part, the performance part, the working together as a team to put together a show, and just everybody picking up and doing their part to make it work. And that's the thing that I find beautiful about the Young Americans. The performances, everybody steps up. On any given night, somebody different just shows a little brighter, but they all do. I don't go a summer with only seeing them once.
It's the beauty of it, because the Young Americans transforms young kids. It gives them an opportunity and an avenue to be able to do something they never thought they can do. I'm a definite product of that. and it also builds, you talk about teamwork. It is a lot of teamwork, but it's moreover than that a lot of people don't know about us. And the reason Kenny and I are working so hard in our restructuring is that it cements and bonds you to a group of people for life that is unchangeable. And I'll give you an example. I was on that West Side Story tour daily, and just as I was walking in, I showed Kenny, there are 5 of us that were on that tour that at the very least, say good morning to each other. We all met here in Petoskey at the AMT in 1977, and they know I'm up here in Michigan and what we're doing. And along the whole way since Sunday, they've been texting me and cheerleading me, this group of texts that we have. So I say that to say this, that the bond isn't just what the audience sees. It goes far beyond through our extended life that we have a bond of being a young American. And I think that's what drives Kenny and myself and others in the group that have been in the group, is that we want to assure that these current kids, with everything that's going on, it would just be terrible if they were to miss what we had. And Kenny and I have dedicated ourselves to give these kids that same. Hopefully they have those people at 62 years old they're still talking to.
I mentioned that I did the Liberace show. When I got into the group, I actually had that opportunity because I replaced Andy. And Andy became my big brother. And that was 40 years ago. And I never would have imagined that all of these years later that we would come full circle and that we would have an opportunity to work together to lead this organization into the future. And so I think that there is a plan in place for us to be here in this moment in time, at a time when we're living in a difficult climate and environment and world with all of the uncertainty, but we're really excited about our future and where we're headed.
How do you think that this kind of mindset, this kind of a heartfelt relationship, how did that come about? A bunch of kids coming together from all over the place, and all of a sudden they become a unit. They become a family.
For me, it's simple to answer that question. And that's what I think Kenny and I have done, and others. Kenny and I aren't, we're young Americans, a group of many. But I know that Kenny and I are working through this process, have known it's those foundations that Milton Anderson taught this group that we still today live, that we still today honor, as well as those bridges that Bill Brawley built when he took over the group. The foundations Milton gave us, the bridges Bill built, those are our traditions. And I really see those in Kenny, and I hope he sees them in me. And we met with a group of kids the other day, and gosh darn it, I saw it in them. I saw those traditions in them. And we can be on different sides of a fence, or we can cheer for a different ball team, but we will never, ever be on a different side of the young Americans. Never. And that bond is because of Milton and Bill.
Andy, CEO. Kenny, board president. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tim Nixon on Lite 96.3.